Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levi, your co-host, Shaq. And Shaq, this is episode 200 of Half the Battle. Holy shit, they stuck with us for 200 episodes.
200 episodes, and I'm glad that we get to sit down here, go over these awards, and because there was a lot of good fights this year, a lot of great performances, a lot of KOs, a lot of subs, so let's get down to it.
Yes, sir, and for everyone paying attention, everyone tuning in, this is what's going to go down on today's episode of Half the Battle. So Shaq and I are going to give our best of awards for 2017, because it was an incredible year. And then we're going to have exclusive interviews with last week's big winner, Matheus Nicolau. Cashed that 6-unit play on Matheus Nicolau, and now we got an exclusive interview with him. And last but not least, Alex the Spartan White. He came through for us big against Mitch Clark, and now he's taking on James Krause this weekend at UFC STL. He's an underdog. We got an exclusive interview with him. So make sure you stick around for our interviews with Matheus Nicolau and Alex White. But Shaq, let's get right down to business, man. We got these awards to give out. Best of 2017. And let's start off with the knockout of the year. So, man, what do you think is the best KO of 2017?
So, a lot of KOs that went down this year. Mike Perry knocking out Jake, Ngannou and Overeem, Moraes and Sterling. But I'm going to go with Josh Emmett over Ricardo Lamas because, one, the fact that Emmett even got that fight, that Lamas even took the fight was, astonishing in my opinion. And then the fact the way that Emmett absolutely put his lights out and his head bounced off the canvas 3 times. Lamas is one of the greatest featherweights to ever do it, but that's how you seize an opportunity right there. You go in there, you knock out the number 3 guy in the world, so that's my KO of the year.
Dude, that was an unbelievable KO. He came through as a big dog. Obviously, Ngannou has to be on anyone's list. Moraes over Sterling, that was great, but for me personally, it was one that I was in attendance for, and that's Mike Perry versus Jake Ellenberger. Look, me and one of my good friends, we went there, you know what I'm saying, had some edibles. It was a very good time, and I had a bet on Perry. Perry goes out there and knocks out Ellenberger. At first, we're high-fiving. Yes, we just cashed this bet. This is incredible. And then after we're celebrating and it's time for Bruce Buffer to announce the winner, Ellenberger's still out cold, bro. We thought he died. It was kind of scary, thank God. And when he moved his toe, the whole place started erupting and cheering for him. I was happy that, he was okay. He was good to go. But Jesus Christ, I've never seen a more brutal knockout. Maybe when Anthony Hamilton fought Grabowski, because we saw that in person. That was scary. But, bro, when Perry knocked out Ellenberger, you could hear the sound of that elbow throughout the Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. And, Mike Perry is one of the premier knockout artists at 170 pounds. Can't wait to see what he does in the future. That is my knockout of the year, Shaq. Submission of the year. So, we talked about knockout. Now we got to talk about sub. What are you thinking?
A lot of good subs this year, but I'm going to go with one in particular that happened recently, Ortega and Cub Swanson. The rub that Ortega's been on, all the subs, the knockout of Clay Guida. The guy submitted Renato Moicano, which is a serious feat in itself, which I did not see coming. So just the guillotine, the way he readjusted it after the first attempt and tapped out Swanson. He almost had him out in the first round, but luckily Cub got saved by the bell. But that's my sub of the year. Ortega, in my opinion, he's one of those jiu-jitsu guys that where if he touches you, it's over.
It's pretty hard picking someone that's not Brian T. City Ortega. The dude's absolutely incredible. The way he was dangling off Cub's neck, like you mentioned, he readjusted it. The dude's someone to look out for, and I guarantee you, Brian T. City Ortega will be challenging for a UFC title in 2018. Make no mistake about it. But Shaq, I got to go with Pedro Munoz against Rob Font because Pedro Munoz has one of those guillotines where there's no getting out of a Pedro Munoz guillotine. You shoot on this guy, Pedro Munoz, he snatches that neck. That's going to be game, set, and match. And it was game, set, and match when Rob Font, or as they like to say in Brazil, Robbie Font, fought Pedro Munoz, and Rob was getting the better of the early exchanges, which most people do against Pedro Munoz, but when Pedro starts to create that chaos and you get a little desperate, that's when he chokes you out, that's when you tap the mat, that's when he gets another performance bonus. My submission of the year is Pedro Munoz against Rob Font. Well, Shaq, this is one of my favorite categories, the Rookie of the Year, because this is the guy that a year ago no one knew about, no one gave a fuck about. Now they came into the UFC, they made a big splash, and they're on a big thing. So who's the Rookie of the Year for you in 2017?
I'm going to go with the sleeper. I'm going to go with my boy Cody Stamann. And a year ago, no one knew who this guy was. Then he made his debut against Terrion Ware. I actually bet on him in both of his fights. And, clean win against Terrion Ware in his debut. And then he gets the second fight of his career in the UFC on the main event of the prelims against Tom Duquesnoy, who is the super hyped French prospect. the guy that everyone was saying was a future champion.
The guy people said could beat Tomas Almeida today.
All this stuff. And, plus 150, I had to bet on my boy Cody Stamann because I've been seeing something special in this guy. He's been getting comparisons to Jimmy Rivera, got a similar record to Jimmy Rivera. So Cody Stamann's my rookie of the year, came in, got 2 solid wins, one over a super hype guy. So Cody Stamann.
Yeah, Cody Stamann, definitely someone to look out for. Look, my rookie of the year is Volkan Oezdemir, and there's no doubt about it in my mind. A year ago, if someone heard the name Volkan Oezdemir, they'd start laughing, like, who the fuck is Volkan Oezdemir? Like, what a funny name, And he comes in there against OSB. He's a big dog, and people are like, oh, so OSB went from fighting fucking John Jones and Jimmy Manuwa, he's fighting this canned Volkan Oezdemir who lost to Kelly Anunsen. And then Volkan goes out there. He wins the decision, but people are still not convinced. So they put him in there with Misha Serkunov. He's the underdog again. Touches him one time. And that was lights out.
Not just an underdog, plus 335 underdog.
Yes, sir. And then they're like, all right, well, this quote-unquote fluke streak has to end now, right? Let's put him in there with Manuwa. Manuwa's coming off that OSB KO win, which one doesn't simply do, as you know. No one's ever knocked out OSB in the UFC before. So, Let's put him in there with Manuwa, and then he sleeps Manuwa in 20 seconds and gets a UFC title shot. That, to me, is the rookie of the year. Now, no matter what happens in his title shot, that's irrelevant for this award because that's 2018. But for 2017, I don't think there's any doubt that Volkan Oezdemir is the rookie of the year. So, much respect to him for making that kind of splash in just a couple months in the UFC. Now, this is a good one, too. Performance of the year. This is, who went out there and really put on that performance where you still think about it to this day and you're like, man, that was the performance of the year?
A lot of people are going to be pissed with this pick, but I'm going to go with Colby Covington versus Damian Maia in Damian's hometown of Sao Paulo, Brazil, because going into the fight, Colby was saying all type of things, filthy animals, Brazil's a dump, and yeah, you can say whatever, Damian touched him up with the left hand. That doesn't matter because I saw the fight Damian was in before the...
What are the scorecards again?
I remember the scorecards being 30-26 in Brazil. So I know Tyron Woodley didn't do that to him. Tyron Woodley played it safe. Tyron Woodley just sat against the fence and stuff to takedowns, which, hey, congrats to him. He won the fight. But Colby beat him to the point where Damian couldn't go an extra 2 rounds. Just put it that way. Damian would have quit in between rounds. Colby beat him in a way that was... who does that to Damian Maia and Dong Kim back-to-back? 30-25, 30-26. I think the guy has earned his title shot. But in terms of performance, I don't care if he got hit with a couple left hands. All I know is Damian didn't take him down, and all I know is Colby broke him. So that's my performance of the year. And then what he did after the fight on the mic. Some people like it, some people don't. I like it, man. The welterweight division needs life. Woodley's boring up the division, so that's my pick.
Yeah, listen, Colby's a very dominant guy, no matter how you feel about him personally. But for me, man, and I was very surprised about this performance, I got to go with RDA against Robbie Lawler. Talk about a 5-round clinic. Talk about a guy that I was saying, look, he's too small for 170 pounds. He probably got a little bit lazy going up. He didn't want to cut the weight no more. I couldn't have been any more wrong. This is a guy, he could have already retired. He won the belt at 155. He defended it. And now we're talking about him potentially not only becoming the first UFC Brazilian lightweight champion, but becoming the first UFC Brazilian welterweight champion. That's a Hall of Fame material, and he put on a clinic against the very dangerous former champion, Robbie Lawler, and I think now he's ready for a UFC title shot. So I'm going to go with someone in the same weight class as you, just a different man, Rafael dos Anjos with the performance of the year. Now it's time for the upset of the year. Now, as you know, we are betting, man. It doesn't necessarily have to be something we bet on, but in your opinion, what is the upset of the year for 2017?
Oh, man. Just from a betting perspective, I'm going to go with my boy Zaleski dos Santos. It's not the first time he's been the underdog, but he was plus 180 against Lyman Good, who at the time, was coming off a USADA suspension. And I disagreed with it. I had to play my boy Zaleski. I'm 3-0 betting Zaleski. And I look forward to betting Zaleski some more in these upcoming fights. But plus 180 was super off to me. Just the fact that I wasn't even watching the fight live. I had to get updates. And, I heard that he was pulling it out. But then when I got home and watched the fight and saw the classic war that it was, that's my upset of the year.
Yeah, and look, I got to go with the obvious one here, man. It doesn't get any more bigger of an upset than Darren Elkins over Mirsad Bektic. The kid was like plus 600 going into that fight. People were saying Mirsad could beat Max Holloway today. Like that's the kind of shit I was hearing like going into that fight, Shaq. And people were laying down, the minus 700, minus 800 on Mirsad Bektic. And, people never learn their lessons. And Elkins, he took that ass whooping like a man for the first 10 minutes.
Like he always does.
And then he came back, and not only did he dominate that last round, he finished Mirsad Bektic with a head kick, knocked the kid out. His second knockout loss, by the way, because we all know Chas Skelly knocked him out, by the way. So, he handed him his second KO and gets my upset of the year as a plus 600 dog. So, props to Elkins for that one, man. Now we got to talk about the fighter to watch in 2018. So this is someone that they made a statement in 2017, not necessarily fighter of the year, but they did enough in 2017 where you're like, dude, you got to watch this kid in 2018. Who do you think that is?
I'm going to go with my boy Jimmy El Terra Rivera, man. This guy's on the cusp of a title shot. It sucks what happened. He was supposed to fight Cruz, was supposed to fight Lineker. Both those guys found a way out and decided not to fight. Then, Moraes wants to act like he wants to take the fight, and he doesn't. But,
he wants to take it at 170 pounds.
Exactly. Jimmy's on a 20-something fight win streak, a boxing record. The guy wins fights, point blank, period. He's a win away from a title shot. I'm interested to see if he gets a Cody Garbrandt or a Sun Sal. But he's right on the verge of, getting that title shot versus TJ. And, him and TJ have sparred before, and let's just say one man got the better of it.
One does not simply go 20-1 in professional mixed martial arts, and that's exactly what Jimmy Rivera is doing. So, obviously, he's definitely a guy to watch in 2018. But for me, Shaq, I'm going to go with someone that I already picked earlier in the show. Or actually, you picked him for submission in there. You picked Brian T. City Ortega, and I'm picking him as my fighter to watch in 2018. Every single time this guy fights, sometimes it can be sketchy at first, it can be hairy, but once he finds that neck, once he finds a way to tap you out,
it's over.
He grabs a limb, he grabs anything, and it's over right away. This is a guy you have to watch out for. I'm not exactly convinced he could beat Max Holloway, but at the same time, if he touches Max Holloway's neck, I'm not sure there's anyone on planet Earth that can escape that, man. So, T-City is definitely the guy you got to look out for in 2018. Now, Shaq, who is the breakthrough fighter of the year? And this is someone, they could be a rookie. They could have already had a UFC career, but 2017 was really the year where they broke through.
I'm going to go with the middleweight champion, Robert Whittaker, because it seems like, for the most part, in terms of the lines makers, that he keeps getting disrespected in these fights, And the fact what he did against Yoel Romero in his last fight, mess up that knee early in the fight and then lose the first 2 rounds and then come back like a champion does, win the next 3 rounds, and get that 48-47 decision. That was a great performance in my opinion. He's the breakthrough fighter of the year. Beat Jacare, beat Brunson, Yoel Romero. So he's arguably up there on this pound for pound list as well. Got a big fight against Luke Rockhold next in Perth, but he's my breakthrough fighter there.
Yeah, Robert Whittaker is absolutely amazing. A guy that at one point was coming off 2 losses at welterweight. People were saying, maybe he's not the guy we thought he once was. He goes up to 85. He's been absolutely running through everyone. He's fought the best of the best. Now he is the undisputed middleweight champ. He's absolutely one of the breakthrough fighters of the year. Now, for me, I'm gonna go with James the Texecutioner Vick. Look, this is a guy that was 5-1 in the UFC at one point. People were saying shit like, "Oh, he's always injured. He never fights." And then he took that L to Beneil Dariush, and people were like, "Yup, that's it. That's it for Vick." And when someone takes an L like Smolka, they might say, "Oh, I suck. I should work at McDonald's. My career's over." When someone like Vick takes an L, he's like, "That wasn't shit to me, bro." And then now he's on a 3-fight win streak. 3 finishes, all in 2017, and it all culminated against Joe Duffy. He was a plus 180 dog at Madison Square Garden. He goes in there. He doesn't just beat Joe Duffy, Shaq. He knocks him out. He beats him at his own game. He outboxes the boxer. He outboxes the guy that finished Conor McGregor in under a minute. So for that reason, James Vick is my breakthrough fighter of 2017. So be on the lookout for him in 2018. Now, we got to talk about the underdog of the year. We are betting men. This is one of my favorite categories. Who's your underdog of 2017?
I'm going to go with Darren Elkins because he's the underdog in all of his fights since the Chas Skelly fight. I think he was the favorite against Pepe, but all the other fights besides that, he's been the underdog. Underdog plus 190 against Bermudez. The guy's consistently an underdog. He's actually an underdog this weekend, and He might win again, but the guy's always winning as an underdog. You can never count the guy out. He's as tough as they come, and he's always the underdog going into these fights, and he always weathers the storm and gets the job done.
Look, I'm going to give a personal pick for this one. I'm going to go with Damir Hadzovic as a plus 275 dog against Marcin Held, just because that's the biggest dog I cashed in 2017. So he's my underdog of the year. It's allegedly 2-0 Held going into the third round. And Marcin decides, you know what? I got this lead. I want to get this first UFC win. I'm going to try an Imanari roll in the middle of the UFC's octagon. And as you know, the Bosnian bomber Damir Hadzovic was having none of it. Timed a beautiful knee, knocked Marcin Held out cold, cashes the plus 275. For that reason, Shaq, he is my underdog of the year. And I'm very excited about his upcoming matchup with Alan Patrick. It's going to be a good one. Okay, here come the fun categories. Best bet of 2017. What was your best bet, man?
Man, I got a couple. The Randy Brown one will always be a good one. I thought the minus 170 on the opener was a disrespect to Randy Brown. And when the public was betting Mickey Gall, it even got more outrageous. And, it was more than a 10-unit play for me. Just the fight in itself, to dominate the first round and to lose the second round, but then come back and dominate the third round. It was an emotional roller coaster for sure. Got the job done. Randy Brown dominated the fight as far as I'm concerned. And my other one is Yan Zhao, because not too many people were looking in that spot. Everyone is always under the assumption that these habitual losers like I or Curran are going to come back and get these wins. And Smolka, they're going to come back and get these wins when, come on, it's over. And, minus 135 against Kylan Curran Kylan Curran habitually loses fights. Yeah, she's tough. Yeah, she's Hawaiian. Yeah, she won't quit. But I felt like Yan Zhao, I did my extensive research in that bet, and I realized that Yan Zhao was probably the best fighter that Curran had faced besides Felice. And she went out there and she executed. The side kick to the face, we dropped her early in the fight. It was a great performance in China. And I'm interested to see where Yan Zhao goes from there as well. But the Randy Brown, Yan Zhao plays were good. The Marcelo Gom in his debut, and Alex White, when, they said Marcelo Gom never fought anybody with a win. And, it didn't matter. But those are my best bets.
Yeah, I got a couple as well. Obviously Robert Whittaker plus 205 against Jacare. Loaded up on that one. That was a good play. And the ones you mentioned, Randy Brown, Yan Zona, and even Matheus Nicolau last week, I really like those as well. So, it's a hard pick to say my favorite because it just depends. Do you favor the odds of, a Whittaker plus 205 over Jacare? Is that the best bet? Or is it, the situations where we really loaded up because we saw an opportunity for a mismatch? Alex White versus Mitch Clark, a Yan Zona versus Kalen Curran, a Matheus Nicolau versus Louis Smolka. So I would say those are a few. And obviously my boy Randy Brown, he took care of biz. I don't give a fuck. People are like, oh, but he lost the second round. Yeah, well, guess what? We cashed the bet.
Davi Ramos against Grossmacher, 7 units. People saying, oh, it was a little hairy in the second, so what?
Did I get paid or not?
We won the first 2 rounds.
Did I get paid or not?
And we finished them, so.
That's all I got to know. Exactly. Did I get fucking paid or not? And, but you know what, Shaq? This ain't just about bragging. We talked about our best bets. Now we got to talk about our worst bets. So, what was your worst bet of 2017?
Worst bet of the year probably has to be my 5-unit parlay of Luke Jumo and Maestro Donghyun Kim. Maestro was fighting Gomi. That was the easy money on the card. I should have loaded up, put everything on that. And I decided to parlay Luke Jumo against Shinzo Anzai. And it didn't work out. You live and you learn. I learned my lesson. Never do that again. As you can see, the numbers have gone up drastically since then. And you just don't parlay 5 units that spot. But that's my worst bet. There's some other ones. Devin Clark against Yan. That was kind of embarrassing. Devin got smoked, standing rear naked choked. Hanato diving in that guillotine of Ortega's. Lost 3.85 units on that. Some other ones. Michelle Canones, but that wasn't really a fight. When I get beaten, I get beaten. So, but yeah, those are my worst ones.
Yeah, and since you brought up Gomi, back to the best, I got to give props to my boy John Tuck. He was like minus 250. He handled Gomi exactly how you're supposed to. Loaded up on that. But back to the worst bets of 2017. I got a couple, man. These are pretty embarrassing, but I got no problem admitting them. Teruto Ishihara against Gray Maynard. Look, I thought Gray Maynard couldn't take a punch, and we didn't even land a punch. We got absolutely blown out the water. Justine Quiche against Felice Herrig, that was really bad. Eric Koch against Guida, that was awful. Yair against Frankie, had to learn my lesson there. And then two ones that I didn't go as big on but were still bad were Pereira over Tatiana Suarez and Quinones over Sage Northcutt. Awful bets, and those were my worst bets of 2017. But I learned my lesson, so hopefully I don't have as bad of bets in the future, right, Shaq?
Exactly.
So now, this is a fun one. Who's the jobber of the year?
Man, jobber of the year, I'm going to have to go with Will Brooks, man. Coming into the UFC, former Bellator champ, people saying he's top 10 right now.
People were saying he's going to fight McGregor one day.
Exactly, like, come on. And, the guy comes into the UFC, barely beats Ross, and then breaks against Alex Cowboy, gets choked out by Charles. Like, Charles is the guy that, and then the Nick Lentz fight, like, it's just disappointing. I'm surprised he still has a job. If he wants to take another fight, by all means, go ahead, Will Brooks.
Yeah, fight Tyson off.
You know what I'm saying? Of course, he's looking for the easy fight with Pettis.
Pettis would whoop his ass, by the way.
But Will Brooks is a huge disappointment. Remember, at one point, the fight, outside the UFC was supposed to be Will Brooks versus Justin Gaethje. It's a good thing that fight never happened. Just put it that way. But Will Brooks, man, the guy's always been a mental case, but I didn't know the extent of his mental issues. But he's my jobber of the year.
Look, and that's a very good pick for jobber of the year. I can't disagree with that one bit, but my jobber of the year, and I feel really bad about this, Shaq, but my jobber of the year is Bobby Nash. Look, this is a guy that made his UFC debut against Li Jingliang, had a fight of the night type performance. So we're thinking, look, he just got caught by a much better guy. He's going to come back better. And he did come back better for about a round when he fought Danny Hot Chocolate. And we're like, all right, we're seeing a little bit of the skills. Then boom, Danny Hot Chocolate knocks him out as well. So then we're thinking, all right, does the kid have a chin issue, or was he just in there with Li Jingliang and Danny Hot Chocolate? So he goes in there against Kenan Song, who was coming off 2 L's, and they signed him specifically so Bobby Nash could get on track. And Kenan Song knocks him out in 15 seconds. So, Shaq, for that reason, Bobby Nash is the jobber of the year. Coach of the year.
My coach of the year, I'm going to go with Mike Brown from ATT. I mean, the guys, and you see him at every UFC event, every weekend. He's got Poirier, he's got Ponzinibbio, Masvidal, Colby Covington, Nunes. He doesn't work with Will Brooks, but, he's got so many guys. You see him every event. And, I mean, just from what I hear about the guy, they say the guy is just tremendous to have around you, positive energy. And, just in terms of the amount of fighters he has to work with, Barzola, DeCasey, ATT's got so many guys.
over there, too?
Yeah, Moicano's over there now. The guy's got a tremendous amount of people that he has to work with. And, like I said, Poirier, Nunes, Covington, Masvidal, Ponzinibbio, he's got a solid group.
He definitely does. And, look, my coach of the year is someone that's flying extremely under the radar. I'm talking about Ivan Flores of Legacy Muay Thai. This is Max Holloway's head striking coach. This is the guy that led Max Holloway to a world championship. He beat Jose Aldo twice, both times by third-round finish, the first time in Brazil as a plus 115 underdog. I think the work that Ivan Flores has been doing with Max Holloway and Yancy Medeiros, you see the way that their performances have just been getting better and better. Their levels are going up. These kids are performing at the highest frequency they ever have in their entire mixed martial arts careers. Max Holloway about to defend that belt against Frankie Edgar, and Yancy just got himself a main event in Texas over people from Texas. So, Ivan Flores is my coach of the year for 2017, Shaq. Now I got to ask you, what's the comeback of the year?
Comeback of the year. That's a good question.
I'll tell you mine first. My comeback of the year is obviously Darren Elkins versus Mirsad Bektic. When you get your ass whooped like that, it's one thing, you lose the first 2 rounds 10-8, and then you say, you know what, I just accept the fact that I lost this fight, and maybe I won't quit. Maybe I'll just take the ass whooping like a man. I won't, cover up and let the ref intervene. I'll just, I'll take the ass whooping and lose the decision. That's not what Darren Elkins does. When Darren Elkins lost the first 2 rounds, he didn't let it bother him at all. He comes back in the third. Not only does he win the third round, Shaq, he finishes Mirsad Bektic in the third round. That is my comeback of the year.
My comeback of the year is another fun one. I'm going to go with Ryan James versus Andrew Sanchez. That was what we call a comeback. Because Ryan James was out, but his mind wouldn't let him go out. And I mean, he just showed that he's as tough as they come mentally. I mean, you can hit the guy with a baseball bat and he's going to be smiling. But Sanchez dumped his load off in the first round. It was a 10-8 first round. And then James does what he always does. He's a super awkward guy to fight. He's 6'4", 6'5". I mean, the guy's, when you fight that type of guy that's not going to quit, it's super tough. And James absolutely gassed out. And James put it on him in that third round, man. Talking about accumulation, Sanchez absolutely did not want to be in there. So that's my comeback of the year, Ryan James. I'm actually a fan now. I like the guy's style. Eat a shot to give out 5. So Ryan James versus Andrew Sanchez.
So, in your opinion, Shaq, who is the current pound-for-pound number 1 fighter on the UFC roster?
Man.
Well, I got to get mine first?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, my current number 1 pound-for-pound fighter on the roster is a no-brainer. So, people are going to be like, oh, so it's Demetrius Johnson? No, it's not Demetrius Johnson. It's Max Blessed Holloway. I mean, the dude's on a 12-fight win streak. He just beat the greatest featherweight of all time twice in a row, unless you consider Conor the greatest featherweight of all time. But Conor ain't fighting at 45 ever again. Who knows if Conor's even going to fight in the UFC again? He might not. We don't know. So Max Holloway is my current number 1 pound-for-pound fighter on the roster. I mean, look, I know Demetrius is amazing, but look at the guys Max Holloway's fighting and look at the guys Demetrius is fighting. Look, no disrespect to Ray Borg, Chris Carriasso, Tim Elliott, but, I mean, come on, guys. Those dudes aren't, come on. That's all I got to say. But look at the guys Max Holloway's going in there and fucking up, man. Jose Aldo twice. He's about to fight Frankie Edgar. That's all I got to say. And my other option would have been Robert Whittaker, but I just feel like Max Holloway's resume is, as of right now, higher up and on a different level. Max Holloway is the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter on the UFC's roster, Shaq.
I'm going to go with Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker beat Jacare, beat Yoel Romero, beat Derek Brunson. Don't forget about that Brad Tavares win either. Brad Tavares is a tough guy, and he knocked him stiff. So Robert Whittaker's my number 1 pound-for-pound fighter. If he can get that knockout over Luke Rockhold, then he even moves up higher on that ladder. But, I will say this about DJ. I think he is the best fighter in terms of overall skills. But in terms of opponents, I agree 100%. Ray Borg, Carriaso, Moraga, these guys aren't Tim Elliott. These guys aren't Yoel Romero's, Brunson's, Jacare's, Tavares's. So I'm going to go with Robert Whittaker.
Fight of the year.
Fight of the year, man. It's a no-brainer for me. It's Yancy Medeiros and Alex Cowboy. That's what we call when a Brazilian and a Hawaiian get in there, man. It's always magic because both guys won't quit. And even though one guy did eventually quit, just what Yancy had to go through to get to that point. I mean, he got dropped, wobbled several times. And we've seen that from him before, man. Even when he fought Dustin, he wouldn't go down. When he fought Master Ndube, he wouldn't go down. And the guy showed that Hawaiian spirit. That's my fight of the year. Alex Cowboy showed a lot of heart, but the body can only take so much. So
I'm going to actually have to agree with you on this one, Shaq. I do think Cowboy Oliveira versus Yancy Medeiros is the fight of the year. Because when you talk about a fight of the year, it needs to be constant drama. Both guys need to get dropped. Both guys need to get wobbled. You need to see some crazy shit you've never seen before. When you watch that fight, everybody's got to be on their feet, not knowing what the fuck's about to happen. And that's exactly what the case was when Cowboy Oliveira and Yancy Medeiros stepped inside the UFC's octagon. That was 100% the fight of the year. I know some people are going to say Gaethje versus MJ. Look, MJ fucking quit after a round, bro. Like, how was that fight of the year? It was drowning of the year, but I don't know about fucking fight of the year. Fight of the year was Cowboy versus Medeiros. And I agree with you 100%, Shaq. So now we got our last award. The Best Fight Picks 2017 UFC Fighter of the Year. Who is it? Shit, well, Shaq don't know. I'm going to tell you right now. The Fighter of the Year is a dude that I've already given like 3 awards to. Max Blessed Holloway. I mean, like I said already, when you take that belt from the number 1 featherweight of all time, and not only do you take it from him, and, it wasn't some controversial decision. It wasn't a Vegas decision. You beat him in Brazil, in his home country, and you finished him in front of his people who are all screaming, "Ooh, vamos, you're going to die." And he did that. And not only did he do that, Shaq, he came back and he did it again. This time on neutral territory. Even though, U.S., that's Max's home country. But this wasn't Hawaii or nothing. This was Detroit. And he goes out there. He doesn't just finish him, Shaq. He finishes him in the 3rd round by TKO again. Cemented the fact. First fight wasn't a fluke, even though you and I both knew it wasn't a fluke at all. I fucking bet 5 units on Max Holloway at plus 115 in Brazil in that spot. But, Max Holloway is my fighter of the year, hands down.
I'm going to go with one that, might be surprising. But, I mean, what the guy did this year was incredible. TJ Dillashaw, man. You know, to lose the belt to Cruz, he could have packed it in. He could have just been a gatekeeper, but, you know, he goes in there, he beats Asuncao, beats Lineker, and then he gets his fight with Garbrandt. Gets wobbled hard in that first round and then comes back, knocks Garbrandt out, gives Garbrandt his first loss. Now he's a two-time bantamweight champion, which a lot of bantamweights can't say. So I'm going to have to give it to TJ. He didn't quit. He stayed the course, and now he's got another big fight on his hands. But the fact that he got his belt back really impressed me.
Well, man, 2017 has been an incredible year. 2018 is going to be even better. And now it's time for some interviews. So let's hit up last week's 6-unit winner, Matheus Nicolau. Let's call him up real quick. And joining us now is UFC 219's big winner, Matheus Nicolau. Matheus, welcome to Half the Battle.
Hey, thank you, Daniel. It's an honor to be here and be able to talk a little bit about my career and everything that comes together.
Man, it's great to have you on here. And first thing I got to ask you is, how did you get your boxing on the level of your jiu-jitsu? Because I know that you go way back with your jiu-jitsu, man. A lot of people don't know you're a world championship jiu-jitsu guy, but what they know you for in the UFC is your boxing. How did you get your boxing on the level of your jiu-jitsu?
It first started when I first met a friend of mine in Nova União, Roberto Covo. He is a MMA professional fighter. He was with me in my last fight, and since I met him, he's always with me. And that guy, he really, really loves boxing. He came from the Tino Guerra before I met him at Nova União. And he really loves boxing. He started training boxing with Fabio Maldonado, the former UFC fighter. I don't know if you remember him.
Of course.
Fabio Maldonado. And then he started showing me boxing, and then I started to studying a lot. I really dedicate myself for boxing, And I even compete some amateur boxing competitions. And when I was without fighting MMA, I spent a year without fighting MMA. Back on the days was difficult to find fights and stuff, and then I dedicate myself so much to boxing. And who makes me love boxing the way I love jiu-jitsu and the way I love MMA was Roberto Covo. We studied a lot together, we used to watch fights together and everything. And after that, of course, I always trying to keep improving and evolving. And then I went to São Paulo to train with my coach, Alex Cardoso. That's a very, very talented guy, a really, really good coach. He ended up his professional career with 21 fights and 21 victories, And, man, since I met Covo and I started loving boxing, I started improving and traveling for training and stuff. And for that fight specifically, I trained with Alex Cardoso, that is one of my boxing coach, and Ivan de Oliveira Pitu, that is a very, very good boxing coach too, especially for MMA, and that's why I was so sharp in my boxing in that match.
Now, Matheus, you are one of the youngest guys in the flyweight division, ranked inside the top 15. You've already beaten 2 top 15 guys. And, you did say that you were at Nova União for 5 years, training with Aldo, Henan, Dantes, Barral. I mean, and you're only 24 years old. Training with those guys at such a young age, do you think that's prepared you for what you're about to take on in the future?
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm looking for in my career. I am from Belo Horizonte. It's from Minas Gerais, a state in Brazil. And when I was 17, I just moved on to Rio de Janeiro, and I started living alone without my family and everybody. When I was 18, living in Rio de Janeiro, I went to a favela for the first time, and it was for living, and I lived over there for 4 years in a favela, And then after that, I went to Jacksonville to keep improving, keep looking after better trainings and everything. And right now I make my training camp at Damian Maia in São Paulo, Vila da Luta, with a lot of great guys, So I'm living for that. I don't say that I training only and I have fight and stuff like that. I live for that 24/7, And that's what I've been building, I've been building my legs little by little. And when the big challenge comes, I will be ready for taking it.
Matheus, can you tell me about your approach, about how you choose specific places to train at? For example, with the Moraga fight, you knew that, hey, I need to be able to go 3 rounds hard. So you went to Greg Jackson's in the elevation, and obviously you got the win. Then for Smolka, he loves to scramble. So you went with Damian Maia, the best jiu-jitsu guy in the UFC. So can you tell me how you do these specific fight camps?
Yeah, everything was kind of sorry for the dog.
Oh, it's okay.
Everything was kind of natural, you know. Like I used to say that I can see how blessed I am by the people who I have by my side, and this happened so natural. So first talking about Nova União, I was in Switzerland. I was making a fight over there, and then my friend Igor Araújo, a former UFC fighter too. He came to me and said, "Hey, you must go to Rio de Janeiro. It's near to your city, and for now, it's the best place for lightweights. You know, like you have to go there." And then I went over there, spent some time, and then I was traveling with Claudia Gadelha. She was doing some promotion for her fight against Joanna for the second time, and we ended up fighting the same day. But until that time, I didn't know about that. And John was back on fighting. He was supposed to fight against Sam Cruz, I guess. And then one day before the waiting, he came at me. He didn't know me. He came at me and started talking with me, making questions and stuff. And it was kind of impressive that him, man. He's like getting back after a while without fighting. He's losing weight. It's one day before the waiting, and he came at me and started making questions and being such a nice guy. I really liked that. I want to go to that gym. And then I talked with Igor, that same guy who sent me to Nova União, because I knew that before he made some training camps at Jackson Wink. And then, I don't know, was like so natural, and he was at Jackson Wink exactly on that moment that I called him, but I didn't know about it. And he said, "Hey, come here, let's go training here. I can make you know like Coach Wink and stuff, and I can introduce you here. Come here." And then I just fly back to Rio de Janeiro, put all my stuff back in my house in Belo Horizonte and go there. But the first idea was there for only one for making a training camp, a little bit more for the 1 month, just for try to improve and new things and try to challenge myself. But then they closed my fight to Moraga, and I was there already. And I said, "Hey man, I'm liking the training here. Everybody treats me so well. I was training with John Jotts almost every day and fought Moraga twice. I know Coach Nick fought Moraga twice with John Jotts." And I said, "Hey, maybe it's a good opportunity to stay here on a high level training camp, you know." And I just stayed over there and made my fight against Moraga. It was really good. And now, after everything happened in my career, the doping stuff, I go back to Belo Horizonte. I wish to spend some time with my family and stuff. And then I already met the Damian Maia's guys on the Ultimate Fighter, because all the coaches was the same coach that was coaching the Team Shogun, the team that I was in the Ultimate Fighter. And I say, man, maybe that's the place I want to go. And plus that, I have my doctor that I've been working with, Dr. Felipe Pereira. He's a sports specialist, and he's living in São Paulo. So was one more thing that I have that was making me make my decision for go to São Paulo. And right now, I think that I found my place. You know, right now I think that I found my place. At least for the next fights, I'll be making my training camp in São Paulo. I like to travel. I like to challenge myself. I like to get out from the comfort zone. But talking about training camps and make my base will be São Paulo at Vila da Luta de Maia for sure.
What was it like training with the greatest fighter of all time, Johnny Bones Jones?
Man, it was like so motivated, you know, and he was there in the gym every day, and he was not only that. I didn't train with him, of course, because he's a light heavyweight and he have other training partners, and I'm a flyweight. But just having him on the training and his energy, he came to me like every day. He talks to me. He kind of likes to watch me training, and he always, after his training, because the heavyweights training before the lightweights in sparring day. So after his training, he always stayed there and watched my training. It was something really, really that motivated me, you know. It was a huge honor, and I hope to see him again, you know, as soon as possible. I think I can meet him and have a good talk and wish him everything that I want to him.
And, you know, Matheus, going into the Louis Smolka fight, you know, he had lost 3 in a row, but, I mean, his toughness was insane in that fight. Was that the toughest guy you fought in terms of toughness? Because, I mean, you dropped him 3 times in the first round, and, I mean, he just will not go away. And we know how anytime a Brazilian and a Hawaiian gets together in that cage, it makes for fireworks.
Yes, man, I knew that he was really tough, but I was kind of surprised. 3 knockdowns in the first round, and not just the 3 knockdowns. He got a lot of body shots, you know, all the fights. And he not just keeping trying to survive, but he was trying to submit me. When I put him on the ground after a knockdown, he was trying to submit me. Man, that guy is really tough. He has a big heart. He really proved that he's a samurai. But the only thing is that he's not the last, He's not the last samurai. We still have some over there.
So, man, I got to ask you, what was the motivation for leaving Nova União? Because obviously you have the classic Nova União style. Your takedown defense is amazing. The striking's on point. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. But you kind of knew you had to, expand your horizons. When was that moment that you knew, hey, maybe I should try some new things out?
That was something that I have in my mind for a long time already. I always wanted to travel and try new things. That's what I did in that year that I told you was without fighting MMA. I go a lot and keep involved, That with me. I can be in that better that I was still trying to do different things, I'm afraid of stop and not involve anymore, I'm really, really connected to my evolution, and that was what motivated me, I want to try something new. But the idea, as I said, was not to leave Nova União. Was to spend only 1 month in Jackson Wink gym. But then they closed my fight, and I was there already. And I thought in that moment that was the best decision, was to stay there and make my training camp over there. As I said, my friend Roberto Covo, the guy who made me boxing, he was with me in Jackson Week, and he was one of my main trainers, more than André Pederneiras. He was always with me, making the strategies with me, and fighting with me. So he was there, and I felt that time that it was the best decision to stay over there.
And while you were on your hiatus, you were invited to go down to Frankie Edgar's gym at Ricardo Almeida's. How was training down there like?
Damn, it was a huge experience for me, not talking about martial arts, but talking as a human being. I could see how close they was with each other, how they treat everybody good. Frank Edgar is a very simple guy and very tough guy. It was an honor to be with him and be trained with him. And I went there, I was invited by Marlon Moraes, and the funny is how natural things happen in my life that I was talking to you. Marlon knew me because I trained with Timur Valiev. He's a Russian guy that I trained with him in Jackson Week, and he told about me to Marlon. And then when I met Marlon, I was with Damian in Hoboken training at Edge Wrestling with Cody Hamura. And then Marlinho came to train with us and said, hey, I know you, Timur talk about you and everything. Hey, I have a fight coming up. Do you want to come train with me? And I was suspended by the doping, and as I said, I always training. I live for that. I not only train for a fight, so I keep all that year, keep training every day, doing everything that I could. And when Marlinho first invited me, I said, yeah, of course, let's do it. Right away, I went to Tom's River with him. I make all the training camp with him, so it was a huge experience for me. I involve a lot, and I make a very, very good friends. Marlinho is someone that will be always in my mind, always in my heart, will be always cheering for him and sending him positive energy.
Is that what kind of kept you motivated during your time off, man? Because when you have time off like that, and, I know with a lot of fighters, the reason that you're in camp is because you have a fight coming up. You have something to be motivated for. So was going to Frankie Edgar's gym, did that kind of keep you hungry during your time off?
Of course, was one of the things that keep me motivated. I try to motivate myself day by day, and I did some stuff to keep me motivated. One of those things that I did was get back on Jiu-Jitsu championship, Jiu-Jitsu tournament. I stopped to compete Jiu-Jitsu when I was a blue belt. When I have 17 years old, I make my MMA pro debut. Since then, I did not compete Jiu-Jitsu anymore. And then I was back in a black belt, to the height of competition. And then I say, hey man, let's do it, let's put my ego away and let's challenge myself. And that's what I did, and I did really good. I have really good results in Jiu-Jitsu. That was one of the things that kept me alive, and plus that, have that training camp with Marlon, have a training camp with my friend Saul Almeida, who lives in Boston. He fought for the CES belt, and he invited me. I was in Brazil, he invited me, hey man, want to come down here and help me train? And say right away, hey, let's go, not only for helping a friend, a very close friend that is Saul, but also for keep training, keep involving, meeting new people, and that's what I do. I live for that, and every opportunity that show up that I see that is good for me, I catch right away. I don't think twice.
It's funny that you mentioned that, Matheus, because as the fight was starting, Joe Rogan mentioned that Mark Delagrade talked to him and said that when you visited his gym that you were putting everyone down. So he was very high on you. And another thing is, you're so young in the game. You've been around guys like Andre Pederneiras. You had Mike Winklejohn in your corner. How is it like having Eduardo Alonso in your corner now? Because we've seen what he's done with Damian Maia. We've seen what he's done with Shogun Rua. How has this guy influenced your career so far?
Man, Eduardo Alonso, he's a very intelligent guy. He's like a scientist of the game. I used to say that I never had a so specific training camp for a fight like that one. Everything was so specific for me. All the team working on my fight. I feeling great. I feel everybody fighting with me. And Eduardo, he's like I said, he's like a geek from MMA. He studies a lot the game. He could observe myself a lot. He could know me better. So I love to do that training camp under his command. He helps me a lot. He's very, very intelligent. And for the next one, I know that it will be way better because we are just starting to get really connected and stuff. So you can expect that we are gonna do great things together.
So we talked a lot about your jiu-jitsu, and in that third round, man, you had a locked-in arm triangle on Louis Smolka. I was blown away that he didn't tap out. Were you surprised, man?
Yeah, like I said, he's really tough. I got him, in the second round, I got him in a really tough katagatame, really tight, and I could feel in him, he was almost tapping, almost passing out, and he's just like a worm, he gives you way to go out, it was incredible. And then the third round again, I got him with, we call it, a rear naked choke, I guess, with some of it. He started from arm triangle and then he defends. I go to his back and stuff. And man, he's the same, just like a worm. He just keep turning around, get his zip out and just get out, So shout out to him. He's a really, really tough opponent. And as I said before, I knew that challenge will make me grow up as a martial arts, and I just have to thank Smoko for the opportunity. Really respect him.
And, like we said, you're only 24 years old and you already have 2 wins inside the top 15, which a lot of guys at flyweight can't say. I mean, how do you feel like you stack up with the Sergio Pettis of the world, the Henry Cejudos of the world, the top guys at flyweight?
Of course, it will be a huge challenge for me, and that's what I'm looking for in my career. Huge challenge. I like to test myself, and those 2 names, they are really, really tough. I trained with Pettis at Jackson Inc. once. He's a really, really tough guy, and it was funny the way he trained with me. We could say that he was like trading abilities. He didn't want to. I had a fight coming up. He didn't have a fight, so he really tries to help me to make a good training. He was not trying to kill me and stuff like that. And that's when I see that he's a really great martial artist, So I know that a fight with him, against Cejudo will be a big challenge in my career, and it will be a fucking fun fight for the fans. I bet it will be,
Absolutely. So, I mean, look, now that you beat 2 top 15 guys in a row, what's next? Are you thinking Tim Elliott? Are you thinking the winner of Ray Borg versus Moreno? If it were up to you, Matheus, who do you think you'd fight next?
Yeah, this is something that I have to sit and talking with careful, Right now, I'm just enjoying my vacation. I'm just arriving in Dallas today. Tomorrow's my birthday, and I'm enjoying here my goddaughter that lives here. And I will come back to Brazil. I will sit with my team and with UFC and see what they have for me. But one thing that I have to say is that I'm looking forward. I'm look high, and I want to rank a guy. I want to rank a guy for sure. I don't know. I don't have a specific name yet, but I want someone that will test me. I like big challenge, and that's what I'm looking for.
So only a few more questions before we let you go, Matheus. So first of all, happy birthday, my friend. And I got to ask you, what is it about the left hook that you love so much, man? Because I notice it seems to be your favorite punch.
Yeah, the left hook, I like it a lot. I like to mix it how I do it, I do it in different ways. But of course, it's one of my main shots. And not just that, I have much more here, and I hope to have the opportunity to show you guys what I have in my arsenal. There's some good stuff here. You can bet.
100%. And Matheus, 18 months ago when you fought John Moraga, going into that fight, No one knew who you were. Everyone was like, who is this kid fighting John Moraga, the number 6 flyweight in the world? What was your mindset going into that fight because it was such a huge opportunity at the time?
Man, I love that. I love when people don't know who I am. I love when people doubt me, you know. Since when I was a kid, man, I was a soccer player. I am almost a midget, you know, a skinny boy. And nobody believes when I say, hey, man, I want to try jiu-jitsu. I want to be an MMA fighter. My mom, damn, she just, hey, what are you doing in your life, boy? Come on, go back to soccer. You know, everybody was like, then I say, hey, man, I have this. I know that I can do it. And I love when people doubt me, when people don't know me, say, who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is Matheus? And man, I love what I do.
Hey, so last thing I gotta ask you before I let you go, man. Do you think you're the guy to dethrone the great Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson?
I can't say if I am the guy because I still have to do. I can say that if I will be the guy. If he's still there, he's still like in the phone and he waiting for me, for sure. When the opportunity comes, I'll be ready to take.
Well, Matheus, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us right here, right now on Half the Battle. It's been an absolute pleasure. The fans can follow you at Nicolau Matheus. Matheus, any message for the fans before we go?
I want to thank you guys for the opportunity. I love to talk about my career and myself, and they can know me a little bit better. Fans, I just want to say thank you for everybody who watched the fight, who stopped to watch my fight, and keep watching because I'm pretty sure that I have some good stuff for show you guys. You know, as I said in all the interview, I live for that, and when I go to the cage, it's like I put everything on. You know, I put all my life on it, and I do it with love, and I'm pretty sure that who loves MMA will love to watch me fighting. Thank you, Daniel. Best of luck for you too, brother.
And there he is, the 6-unit winner, Matheus Nicolau. And man, he speaks some pretty good English.
Guy speaks good English, best prospect in the flyweight division, easy max bet winner, 30-26. Matheus Nicolau, keep an eye out for the guy, man. I think he can fight with some of the top guys at 125 already.
Man, the fact that he got his boxing on the level of his jiu-jitsu, it just speaks volumes about what the future is for a kid like that. So can't wait to see who he fights next. Hopefully it's Tim Elliott, and we get a nice little price on Matheus there. But let's hit up Alex the Spartan White, man. He's got a big fight this week. Alex White, you're on Half the Battle with Dan and Shaq. How's it going, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man.
That's good to hear. So, man, the fight got announced. You're taking on James Krause. I know there's going to be some hometown bragging rights in that one. You pretty excited about this?
Yeah, I am, and so is everybody in the hometown. I have a big group wanting to go and support me, and I'm ready to have some fireworks that night.
Yeah, and Alex, I'm a big fan of your fighting style. And, I was listening to some interviews of James Krause. He mentioned that you guys have trained in the past. What was the extent of that training?
I'd go there and cross-train. It's a good gym. It's like a couple hours away. But I would stay there for like a weekend and train and then come back home. They have a good setup. Training schedule going there, and before the fight was announced, I was actually talking about going there to cross train with them, and then for them to announce the fight and me to be fighting him. I was like, wow, that's crazy how that happened.
So you guys are actually pretty friendly then, huh?
But whenever it comes to the fighting in the ring. Both me and him agreed it's business, We're going to do what we do best.
And, man, it's interesting because you're one of the bigger featherweights on the roster, but now you're at lightweight. You're one of the bigger lightweights. So, did you basically have to kill yourself to make 145?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It's pretty awful. I think the heaviest I got was to 88, 89, having to cut down to 45. But just cutting that much weight plus training, I was always getting injured. Broken bones, pulled cartilage, always something. I had to back out 2 to 3 fights just because I got injured. And since I went up a weight class, no injuries, and I actually have more energy. I feel stronger, so.
Yeah, Alex, and it's pretty evident in your last fight against Mitch Clark, which, in my opinion, it could have got a performance bonus with the way it turned out. I mean, going into that fight, were you feeling as if your job was on the line? And now that you got that win, I mean, I'm sure you're looking to just move on up from here.
Yeah, I did. I feel like it was either me and him. And then, I mean, I still kind of feel that way. And maybe that's a good thing, to get that fire under your ass, to keep it going. But, if I want to climb the ladder, then I'm going to have to, start winning every one.
And yeah, another thing I saw you mention that you started training 3 times a day. So is that something that you just couldn't do when you were fighting at 145?
I had a lot of stuff going on, and I have a job. My coach's wife, Erica, she's actually my boss at my work. So she kind of lets me slide on a couple of things. So I get the morning training in, and then afterwards I get some third conditioning in, and then my MMA class.
So, man, I heard an interview and you said that, you kind of rekindled that flame, that passion for fighting. And, I mean, it shows in your performances, man, especially your last 3 performances. You've been looking the best you've ever looked. Do you feel like you really have a lot of momentum going into this one?
Yeah, I do. You sit back and you watch those fighters do it, and then you always think to yourself, man, I can do it, And, I mean, I'm right there, like I'm already in the organization. I just have to get my butt into gear. So, I can be one of those guys that gets up the ladder,
And yeah, Alex, like we mentioned before, you and James Krause are both from Missouri, and you guys are friendly, but we know this is business. Like we said, we feel like you're on the way up, and he hasn't made 155 in about 2 years. Where do you see the state of his career, and where do you see the advantages that you have in the fight?
Yeah, I think it might be a little hard on him to make 145, and I think career-wise, I think he'll be okay. Win or lose, he's got a good name for himself out there. So it's time for me to get my name out there.
So, Alex, how'd you develop your fighting style, man? Because obviously you're a super exciting guy. I've never seen Alex White try to hump someone's leg. I always see you going for the knockout every single fight. How'd you develop that fighting style, man?
I don't know. I guess I had that mentality. Whenever I first started MMA, I didn't have no background. And I know we started out in a little yoga room, really, back in Pilot Knob, Missouri. And there wasn't really much wrestling we could get done, so we worked on a lot of stand-up stuff. And it kind of comes natural to me, so I kind of just stick with it.
I've been listening to some interviews of Krause, and he, seems to think that he has a big advantage on the mat. Your fight with Tony Martin, which was a respectable loss in my opinion. Do you think that experience is going to help you in this fight with Krause, who's probably going to be looking to take you down?
Yeah, during that fight, it kind of really opened up my eyes. What he did, he just, I had basic wrestling, defense, and all that, and he was just one step ahead of me. He was reshot, try to grind me down to the ground. So that's something that I've worked on, and I'm still working on. So, James Krause tried to do that, then, I'm going to have a couple different moves to defend him.
So, Alex, I know we talked about this already, man, but how much better do you feel at 155 pounds, man? Because, I mean, in terms of, like, your frame, man, you just look so much physically better there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm actually able to train. Because before, like, I had to cut weight and train. Like, now I'm able to train and then cut weight. That makes a big difference. Like I said, I got more energy. I'm able to push myself farther and harder. just overall, I feel tons better. I look better, you know?
100%, man. So your last fight with Mitch Clark, obviously that was the best performance of your UFC career. Was that the best you've ever felt inside the UFC's octagon, man? Because it looked like you were having fun out there.
Yeah, I'd probably say between that one and then my first fight. It took like I said, it took a little bit for me to get that fire under my butt, and I have it, and I don't plan on letting go of it.
And Alex, you have a reputation for being, a soft-spoken, low-key guy. Granted, you go out here and get the win against James Krause and knockout. Are you gonna, like nowadays we see a lot of guys that are talking a lot. They get the more notoriety, they get the more fame. Are you gonna, speak up a little bit more, or are you just gonna be the same guy?
Well, I mean, I'm always going to try to be the same guy because I know that they worked just as hard as what I did, to them. And for me just to talk down on them, I think it's just disrespectful. So, I'm just, if they put up a good fight, then there shouldn't be any, shit talking. If they put up a good fight, they put the time in.
So, Alex, when you fought Mitch Clark, man, there was this sequence in the fight where you landed about 15 to 30 elbows in a row. Were you surprised that the dude wouldn't go down?
Yeah, he has a hard head. I know they're part of the first five. I was thinking I just need to keep this up a little bit longer and then, he'll be done. But he took them all, and he still kept trying to go. He's got a heart, and it's hard to come by.
And Alex, I mean, even your run at featherweight, all your fights were exciting, but one fight in particular, the Artem Lobot fight, at the time, he was coming off the Ultimate Fighter show where he was knocking everyone out, and his fight against Ryan Hall didn't go his way, but that's because Hall's the superior jiu-jitsu fighter. But you were the first one to beat him in every aspect in the UFC. I mean, in that third round, I don't know if you remember, I'm sure you do, but he was just dropping his hands, swinging crazy at you. How fun was that?
It's almost like a pissing contest, which I had one of those pissing contests with Lucas Martins, and it didn't go my way at the end. I got clipped. So I was trying to watch out for that without getting too confident, So I'd back up and I try to get one in. Which when someone's throwing bombs like that, that one punch, could be the one.
So, I mean,
other than that, it was fun, absolutely.
Where does that mentality come from, man? Because, for example, you look at a guy like Tony Martin, and all respect to him, but he's not down to get into that kind of a fight. You get into those kind of fights all the time. Where does that kind of mentality come from?
It's either, I don't know. I've always been that go, go, go. Like why let it stop you? I don't know. I know the first time training, I was doing boxing, and I wanted to get a feel of how it felt, So I got hit a couple of times, and it's more in your head than it is physically at first, And since then, I've always been, if I can take a punch and then give him a punch, I try to do that and try to work on my speed to get in a couple extra punches so when he can get on me.
So, Alex, in the past, a lot of people criticized you because they said that, Alex stands, straight up in the air. He's very upright and he doesn't move his head. But in your last 3 fights, man, I mean, you've been looking the best you've ever looked on the feet. Is this just a matter of the evolution of Alex White's game?
Yeah, like I said, we've been working. I've been, training 2 to 3 times a day. It just turns into muscle memory. Like before, I didn't really have that loss, and then you just learn from your losses.
And, during that Lucas Martins fight on the broadcast, It was mentioned that you have a brother in Afghanistan. Is your brother still in the army by any chance?
He's in the reserve right now. He did 2 or 3 tours, and he's back now, and he's in the reserve.
So, Alex, man, I heard an interview with Krause. He said that he's looking to finish you in the first round via TKO or rear naked choke. He was very specific. What do you think about that?
I think it's all talk until it happens.
And how do you see the fight going down?
I think it's going to be a dog fight. I'm just going to keep the pressure on him. It's going to, like he said, probably stand up at first, and then he's probably going to look to take me down, and I'm just going to have to defend it.
Well, it sounds like you're ready to go, man.
Yeah, man, it's mentally and physically, that's what I'm just trying to get done.
So, I mean, honestly, this is your first fight in Missouri since 2014. Is it exciting, or are a bunch of people hitting you up for tickets?
It's exciting, and I also have people trying to hit me up for tickets, and like I tell them, I don't get tickets for free, not for everybody, so it costs money.
Yes, sir.
Family comes first.
Absolutely. So, Alex, what kind of things do you do, when you're not in training camp, hobbies, things that you enjoy doing besides fighting?
I mean, like during the summer, river, camping, I like to play a couple video games, and then during rental, just video games and bonfires.
Oh, yeah? What games are you playing these days?
I like to play Destiny. Kind of got me going right now. That's what the main game I play.
Now, going into this fight, I mean, you've got big wins over Esteban Payan, Artem Lobov, Mitch Clark. Is James Krause the biggest name you fought? And if you did get the win, would this be the biggest win of your career?
I think it would be. Like I said, he's pretty established in this UFC career. And then, like when I get this win, I think, he's up there in the rankings, I believe. And, I mean, it'll be a big win for me.
Well, Alex, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us right here, right now on Half the Battle. It's been an absolute pleasure, man. Let the fans know where they can follow you on social media. I know you ain't been tweeting that much lately, but if they can reach you somewhere, let them know.
Yeah, man, they can always hit me up on my Facebook fan page. I'm starting to pay more attention to it now. It's Alex the Spartan White. And then whenever I get on Twitter, you can get me at Alex_White_145.
Awesome. Well, Alex, thanks again for the time, man, and best of luck in the fight.
And I appreciate it.
And that's Alex the Spartan White. He's taking on James Krause this Saturday. And, man, it's going to be a good fight. He's coming off that dominant destruction of Mitch Clark, and now he's got a bit of a step up here with James Krause.
Yeah, man. I mean, if Alex White could pull off this one, this will be definitely the biggest one of his career. No one knows who this guy is. This is his opportunity to seize the moment, take out a big name, and let's see if he does it.
Yes. So, thank you, everybody, for checking out this very special edition of Half the Battle. Follow Shaq at MMA Genius 05. Follow me at Best Fight Picks. If you want our plays, you know what you got to do. Go to bestfightpicks.com. Go to maxbetseason.com. And tune in to the podcast later on this week, because on Wednesday or Thursday, just stay tuned. We'll be dropping the full podcast, break down the entire card, give you our picks for the entire card, the whole ordeal like we always do. We ain't toning nothing now. People were worried that we were going to beat around the bush. Don't worry. Jessica I is still going to get shot on. You got nothing to worry about, guys. So make sure you tune in. Subscribe to Half the Battle on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Stitcher. Hook up those 5-star reviews. And until the next time, let's cash these bets.